It's always a bit of a nightmare because I normally lock my phone upright in portrait because I can't use it when it's in landscape, and then it's always a bit of a nightmare trying to get it back again. So hello, so, Andreas. Yeah, sorry for the confusion there. BST is British summertime, and as Homer Simpson would say, lousy farmers. Just because of that. So yes, British summertime. We will be coming off that at the end of next month, end of October. We stop British summertime, so looking forward to that. It means darker mornings, which means I don't want to get up for work. So there is that side of it. But that said, I never really want to get up for work anyway, so it doesn't really make much difference. Now let's see. I'm getting a bit of it's looking a bit fuzzy on my screen, but that might just be because I'm sort of streaming and watching it at the same time. So let me know what the quality's like on your guys' screens. Because for me, it's looking a bit low tech, but looks all right to you, Dan. Okay, that's good. I mean, they're my figures on the screen, so they're never going to look good, are they? But as I was saying, I'm going to start off by finishing this regiment of Carabineers. Now, these are the guys that you see with the brass armour, the brass cuirasses and helmets. These are pre-1812, so they got their arses handed to them by a couple of units, not least of which the Russian Guard Cossacks. And as a result of that, Napoleon decided that they were going to be armoured from then on, which the Carabineers actually didn't want. They saw it as a affront to their quality. But having said that, they'd had their asses handed to them by the Guard Cossacks a couple of times, so I don't think they really had much to complain about, to be honest. Carabineers were a bit up themselves as well. They were paid guard rates, but they were in fact line cavalry. They were the first regiment of line cavalry. So what I just need to do with these guys is just finish them off. You can see on the back here, they're wearing the Qs on their hair. That's the same as the old guard. So I need to just touch these guys up. They've got cartridge boxes back here. Oh, there we are. They've got cartridge boxes back here. So I need to get those done. And then I need to do the rolls and the saddles and the sheepskin. So I reckon that's probably going to take us at least a couple of hours. I've got 12 of these guys to do. If we get finished in time, then I can start on my next project. Which is the second altar of Janissaries. So let's see how it goes. Quality not brilliant, but watchable. Well, that's the story of my channel there, Michael. I do need to get myself a better camera. That's certainly on the wish list. Coming towards the end of the year. Certainly looking at upgrading. If anyone's got any suggestions of a camera, then please let me know. I've seen a couple. Some friends of mine started their own channel, and they had a GoPro, which is very good because it stopped the shaky hands. You can see my hands are very shaky today. So it stops the camera shake, which is very, very handy. But it's not very good for zooming in and getting good quality close-ups. So if you know of a good streaming camera that's quite small and light and can be used for both long shots and zoom-ins, then please let me know. I can't spend like thousands on one, but I expect a decent one to be a couple of £100 at the very least, I'd have thought. I've always thought painting on the base is making life difficult. Yeah, it is. It's not too bad with cavalry because I've got quite a large gap between the two figures, so I can get the brush in there. This guy here, he's got his body twisted around, so he's reasonably easy to get into. But I tend to find it helps you not touch the model too much, so you don't rub the paint off. And with these Carabineers, because the horses were all black, it can be very easy to rub the paint off them. So that's why these guys get based. So you see, I've missed quite a bit on the bare skin of this this officer. So let's get that done. Is that a bit of? That might be a bit of dangly bit. So I hope everyone's well. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. I obviously had my month off which I actually think might have been a little bit too long. I've kind of gone out the groove a little bit, but we'll get back into it, and especially with me not being able to do a video this this Wednesday. That was a shame as well. But we had my mum's family are from Stoke-on-Trent, so we had a visit from them. And then on Wednesday itself, so I couldn't do it Tuesday. And then on Wednesday itself, the hospital was absolutely crazy. The consultants have got such backlogs that we're just jamming everyone in. So it's it's definitely getting back to normal. That's for sure. Blue tack them to an all basic individually. Yeah, that's another good way of doing it, Dan. With these guys, I was just being a little bit lazy, to be honest. You see, I've missed the tail on the horse there. I can't remember. No, I did these with the contrast. Sometimes I do my horses with oils. These I've done with the contrast paints. The oils are nice, but because they require terps to clean your brushes and they take absolutely days to dry, they can be a bit annoying. Now, I know you can get quick dry oil paints. I've done a live stream on painting horses with oils. Now, I know you can get quick dry ones, but I find they dry too quickly, and I don't get a chance to wipe the excess off to get the effect that I'm looking for, and that's the reason why I've used oils in the first place. So it's a bit of a cleft stick there. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. Now this is the trumpeter. I'm not entirely sure. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. I'm not entirely sure what colour his bearskin was. I know for the Grenadier à Cheval, there's a big old argument about whether the trumpeter for the Grenadier à Cheval had a white bearskin or a black one. I've done mine black because I've done mine white because it helps him stand out. But from what I hear, it was more likely to be a black one. To be honest, I don't really care, but I just think the white one helps him stand out on the battlefield, and it just looks a bit cooler. There we go. And as you know, I am all about the rule of cool. Now, I've got a video that I'm prepping for tomorrow. I've not recorded it yet. I'll probably record the audio this afternoon. And as you guys are here, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. Basically, it's going to be a two-part series. And it's going to be, the first one's going to be what's wrong with Waterloo. And the second one's going to be what's good about Waterloo. I might do it the other way around. I haven't quite decided yet. I might do, in fact, no, I'll probably start with a positive one. I'll probably do what's good about Waterloo first. So what it's going to be is it's going to be a quick guide about why is Waterloo, when I say Waterloo, the 100 Days campaign, why is it so popular? And what are the problems that the popularity of the 100 Days campaign brings to the rest of the Napoleonic period's wargaming? And also, then I'm obviously going to do the counter. Well, sorry, no. What benefits it brings to the Napoleonic wargaming scene, and then I'm going to look at the other side of it and the problems that certainly the saturation in the UK that there is with the 100 Days campaign. One of the things I'm interested in hearing from you guys about today, especially for the chaps who aren't in the UK, is how important it is to my German viewers, or I've got some Italian viewers, things like that. Basically, the non-Anglo viewers. How important do you guys consider the 100 Days campaign? What was the quality of Napoleon's army at Waterloo? Well, that's one of the many myriad questions, isn't it, about Waterloo? I think it was pretty poor, actually. You had experienced troops. Don't get me wrong. Napoleon had plenty of experience on the slate, but they were guys. I mean, the soldiers themselves were, they were okay, I suppose. The generals and commanders, I think, particularly Ney, was quite far past his prime. You can see here, my red is drying out. I need to get a new one, really. But because I'm a Yorkshireman, I'm cheap. I'm trying to get absolute maximum use out of the one I've got. So I'll add a little bit of water to it here. Now, I've gone... these are all painted with contrasts, actually. And to say Menno Timpo, yes, absolutely. Acrylics and contrasts are a lot quicker for the horses. Now, these are painted with contrast. Now, I've actually painted them with the wrong red. I painted them with the darker of the two reds. And that's meant that I'm going to have to go back in and highlight them. I don't necessarily have to highlight them. I could just leave them the dark red. But I don't think they look very good. This is one of the reasons why they've been on my painting station for so long. Is I've been getting red all over his gauntlet. That's one of the things. But it's really because I've just not been happy with them. I've just thought that they've been lacking something. So I've got some red on his cuff here. I'm going to have to go over that with the white. But for now, let's get as much of that red off as we can. He's got a nice pink gauntlet on there. Very nice. To be fair, I'm using the wrong size brush here. I'm going to switch out to my my detail brush after I finish this. You may have seen in the light, you may notice I'm not in my usual spot, and that is because my free streaming has run out, and my my internet doesn't extend up into the attic, which is where I normally do these. You get much better light up there, but this is going to have to do for now, I'm afraid. So I'll just get the old the turnbacks done. According to console, white bearskins of Trumpeter parade dress, black on campaign. Okay, well that's fair enough then. So I think either way you're not wrong, because did he wear his parade bearskin in battle? Well, some guys did, some guys didn't. I certainly know for the Russians, the Russian Guard always wore their parade dress in the field, although they did occasionally wear their greatcoats over the top. So obviously at Waterloo, the old Guard wore their dress uniform beneath their greatcoats as well. They were expecting just to take off the coat and you're good to go for a ball in Brussels that evening. Something that certainly would have helped facilitate getting that would have been if they could have defeated the British at Quatre Bras. So I don't know if you've seen the live videos that we did about that, but there is talk in the air of doing another large game. Now, I personally want to do Aspern-Essling, but I think that's probably unlikely. The logical one to do would be Linney. So I know there's talk of us doing a Linney game. Richie, who provided the vast majority of the models for the last game, he has some Prussians, but not that many. So I may end up doing a Prussian force just to go with them. There we go. But of course, I won't be commanding them. I will be commanding the Emperor's legions. Oh, I should also say as well, I shall warn you in advance, the neighbours, I don't know what the neighbours are doing to their house. They're remodelling it now. They've only recently moved in. And for the last, 9 months, the previous owners were remodelling it. So I don't know what the hell they've been doing. I don't know what that house must look like. I think there's probably more raw plugs than actual wall in that building. But there we go. Now, I'm going to say that they're done. I've done the bibs, the collars, the turnbacks. I am aware that the plumes need doing. But this is sort of ish still got a point. I don't want to be doing the plumes with them. I'm going to use a knackered old brush to dry brush those. I don't want to damage this brush. So quickly pop these on there. There we go. Oh, hang on, I missed the turn back. See, I'm using the flat of the brush here to guide the paint where it wants to go. The light's not fantastic doing it like this. I'll just make sure I'm still on camera. Yeah, I am. But You can use the brush to, sorry, you can use the detail to guide the brush. This is where that difficulty of the having them already based comes in. There we are, put that on there. The same with the epaulets. I don't want to do too much on them because I don't want to damage the brush. So I'll just very lightly go over them. There we go, and I'll come back to them with a crappy old knackered brush later on. So I'm going to actually wash my brush out here. I'm going to switch to a smaller detail one. The brushes I use Games Workshop brushes, and it's because I had an absolute ton of them. But I am in the market for some new brushes. I think, unfortunately, because I don't really look after my brushes that well, if I buy a super expensive one, like a Winsor Newton or a Kolinsky Sable brush, something like that, I just worry that I'm just spending a tenner, 12 quid, on a brush that I'm not really going to get the full use out of. Because I'm not the world's best painter. I don't profess to be. But not only am I not going to get really the full use out of it, but it's not going to last any longer than a much cheaper one. Well, I will say, I was having a discussion with a friend of mine recently about acrylic brushes with non-hair bristles, and there's absolutely no chance I'm ever going to be using those. Not for painting figures. They're good for basing and things like that. In fact, have I got one here? No, I don't have one here at the moment, but I occasionally do. They're good for putting PVA on bases and things like that. But for painting figures, they're an absolute no-no for me. The paint just slides off them too easily because they can't recreate the effects of hair. So I've got, speaking of hair, looks like I've got a rogue hair on this brush. I might sort that out in a second. So this is not the most fun part of painting, I don't find. I much prefer blocking colours in, because you can do that sort of without concentrating too hard. But this is unfortunately where the models come to life. So it does need doing, but it's not my preferred. What happened? The light seems to keep coming and going depending on where my hand is. So let me sort this out. So again, I'm just doing some highlights here. I'll show you on this trumpeter's back how much difference it makes. I'm going to do half of his back. I'll do the other half. So I'll hold it up to the camera in a second. You'll be able to see. So you can see the areas that I've highlighted there. Get my thumb out of the way. On the left-hand side as you look at it. And it just brings out the details of these figures. These are front rank figures. I don't know if I mentioned that. So they're very nice, but they're also very chunky as well. So the detail on them is quite pronounced. So let's get those going out there. I always think French in red uniforms always looks really nice as well. That's why I've got a ton of Swiss upstairs. They're just a good looking. It's just a good looking combo because it's just a little bit different. I've gone over the white with the red there. That's going to be a pain to fix. Let's get that done now. Pink gauntlets, very camp. Absolutely, yeah. He's maybe he's just punched a Russian general to the ground with them. And that was a Grenadier or Cheval who did that. He punched some Russian general. He's out of action for like 6 months. Did not want to mess with that guy. Which, considering Blucher got trampled by a horse and he was back in battle 2 days later, says more about Blucher than it does the Russians, I think. Mark T, hope to learn what the stories with future live sessions. Yeah, now the plan was, and I may hold it off for a few weeks anyway, I'm not sure how. We'll see how it goes, but the plan is to make them for members only at some point. So we've got a Discord. We've got a Discord channel which is open to the channel members. I have to say, and anyone who's on the Discord will know, I'm not as active on it as I probably should be. I do feel guilty about that, but it's a lovely community. There's a chap on there, PY. He is keeping the whole thing alive. He's a top chap. And so the links to future ones will be provided on the Discord server. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to do that straight away. I'll have a bit of a changeover period. But yeah, I mean, if it again, the idea is really to sort of drive some more members to the channel and a few more subs. I'm hoping to get to 10,000 subs by the end of the year. And if I do, so this Christmas's giveaway is going to be quite a good one, I think. And if we can get to 10,000, I'm going to add some funky extras to it. I don't want to give the details away just yet. I don't know what the competition is going to be. Last year we did identify the stills from Napoleonic films. So I don't know. I might do different regiments this time. So identify the regiments, but I don't want it to be something that's only open to the Napoleonic experts, because generally they're not the guys who need the starter boxes or anything like that. So I'm going to try and I'll have to try and think about what it can be. If only Grouchy had marched the sound of the guns. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he had some strawberries that needed eating there, didn't he? So he was busy. No, I don't know. I think, to be fair to Grouchy, I've done a video of him called Better Than Grouchy, and it was people who I think would have made better marshals in 1815 than Grouchy. To be fair to him, though, I think his orders that he'd been given by Napoleon were very, very vague. And I also think as well, and it's something I still don't really know why, when Napoleon won the Battle of Ligny, he just kind of like hung around. And you think for a guy who, the whole thing is that he stole the march on Wellington and he humbugged him and all that stuff, for him to just sort of hang around for a day, I don't know, it's pretty inexcusable to me. He ended up like giving people like a tour of the battlefield. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, they were there, Napoleon. Like, I'm not sure they need a full guided tour, but okay. You did enjoy a guided tour, did Napoleon? In 1813, I think it was. He was giving a tour of a 30 Years' War battlefield when a load of action kicked off nearby. So he was on the spot there. But yeah, no, it seemed a very strange one. He definitely did not have his go faster boots on after Ligny. I think, to be honest, and again, if someone asked what the quality of the troops was earlier on, it was who was it? Let me just scroll back up. It was Alexander the Great himself. Asked what the quality of the French troops was. It wasn't great, but it was the commanders as well who were very, very far past their prime. I think Napoleon knew he had the victory at Ligny, and he almost savoured it like it was going to be the last time. Now it actually turned out to be the last time. It may have been a self-fulfilling prophecy. But, I mean, to one extent, who can blame an old general for savouring one last victory? But on the other hand, by him doing that, I think that directly contributes it to actually being his last victory. There we go. Just some more turnbacks. Horse's tail getting in the way there. Again, with these horses, they're very static. The troops, you can either buy them galloping or stationary, or walking as well. Actually, you can get the front rank ones. I quite like the idea of the Carabineers being at rest. I like the idea of them being held back in reserve, waiting for General Grouchy or someone like that to order them to battle. Grouchy, when he was a general, was actually a light cavalry specialist. So maybe not Carabineers would be his purview, but he was, for someone who's most famous for missing the Prussians on their march to Waterloo, it's a bit of a shame because, as I say, when it came to scouting and things like that, Grouchy's actually traditionally very good. But as I say, I think he was far past his prime by the time we get to Waterloo. I'm just going to move this up a little bit and show you the absolute disaster that is my painting area. And the reason is, when my hand comes on screen, it goes really dark. I can't really work out why. Because the light is to the left of the camera. A cleaning soap is very cheap, but it saves brush lives. Yeah, absolutely, man, Timpo. You know what? My brother, he tells me off for not using brush soap. So, and he is right to do so. I really should start using it. But I just don't, to be honest. But yes, no. There's no excuse other than laziness, and laziness is not an excuse. So I really, really should. So I'm just gonna quickly dive up here. These are a little bit easier because he's not got the saber up over his shoulder. I'm just looking up what that bit there is. I think that's some like braid. It's not very well cast, that one. Not sure what that is. We'll do it as braid, but if he's not got any, well, this one does. He's a standard bearer, so he's allowed a bit of scrambled egg on his coat. I'm not familiar with Discord, so I get the idea of driver memberships. Yeah, I wonder what Discord is like. Is it simple to set up and use for and use similar to YouTube? Yeah, it is basically. It's like a it's kind of like a WhatsApp group, to be honest. You can just sort of chat and send pictures and things like that. We get a lot of one of the chaps is sending a lot of his what do you call them? They are mortar. No, not mortars. Motor torpedo boats, I think they are. What Kennedy commanded during the war. He does Napoleonics, but he does a lot of naval stuff as well. His stuff is absolutely incredible. But there was one of the chaps posted an absolutely gorgeous Blucher that he painted, and that was posted up there yesterday. Really nice. What I really liked about how he'd done the great coat that Blucher had draped over him. But yeah, no, I mean, you sign up for it, and like I say, it's a little bit like WhatsApp, but it's not going to be for a couple of months. Don't worry, I'll give you plenty of advance warning before then. I'm always loath to sort of say, "Oh, this is for members only" or whatever, because I don't like to do that kind of thing. I like this to be for everyone. So it goes against what I'm really about. But then by the same token, I also feel guilty that the members aren't getting anything extra. So I don't know. I might do one a month that's for everyone and one a month that's members only, or I might do a special like evening session that's for members only or something. I don't know yet. I'm still thinking about it. So there we go. There's the officer done. I just want to point out as well while we're here how nice these front rank models are. I mean, look at that. That's something that a pose you don't see very often. I just think it's really nice. It's just something a bit different. For me, the absolute best one, and it's the entire reason I bought the regiment, is this chap here, who's turning around and drawing his saber. Oh, he's absolutely gorgeous model. I really, really like him. Really like the just the movement of the figure. I think he's absolutely gorgeous. I've waxed lyrical about these figures before, I know I have, but I just really like them. I should say as well, apologies if I'm a little late getting to your comments, but I'm reading them off my laptop screen, and it seems to be running a bit slow. Like I say, it's also running a bit pixely as well. But as long as it's all right for you guys, that's the important thing. Alexander the Great has retracted his message. Oh dear. I hope it. I'm sure it was fine. Hi, Tim. Love videos. Are you doing any more Napoleonic historical videos? Really find them inspiring. Thanks, Brendan. Yes, I am. What am I working on at the moment? I'm working on. Well, I'm actually working on sorting out my. Here's an exclusive for you. I'm actually working on rewriting my Prussian army scripts for publication. So I'm hoping to get that published in the next couple of months. And I will be selling those. I think it'll be about 10, 12 quid, something like that, and that'll be for all 5 parts. The one I'm working on at the moment is I'm doing a lot for Ottoman Ober, actually. I'm doing a lot on the Ottoman army, which requires quite a lot of research for me because I'm coming at it from an area of not knowing a huge amount about the Ottomans, to be honest. So I'm doing some history videos for the Ottomans. The first one of those is probably going to be on the Ottoman army itself. I'm also creating an army list for Black Powder. So that'll be less history, more sort of game based, that one. But obviously the history will inform the units and things, so we'll be going into that there. I also am working on part 2 of the Swiss, and I'm also working on the fourth part of the Brunswickers as well. So those are my history ones that I'm doing at the moment. The ones that I enjoy doing the most, and they just take so much time, I've not really had a chance to get into it yet, is the Napoleonic figures videos. I've got a few that I want to do for those. I want to do the Russian. I had the book next to me. I can't. Nope, I've moved it. The Russian woman who joined the Dragoons. She disguised herself as a man and joined the Russian Dragoons. That's a fascinating story. So I want to do one about her. I also want to do the father of the author Dumas. He was actually half black. He was known as the Black General, and so I want to do one about him. And I also want to do one. Oh, hang on, sorry, just concentrate a bit there. I also want to do one about Rowland Hill as well. I always find that he's a little bit overlooked with people like obviously the Duke of Wellington, but even then, like if you go below the Duke of Wellington, you've got people like Picton and Uxbridge. They seem to get all the kudos. But so I'd like to do one on Rowland Hill. But yes, no. I will be doing more of the history ones. It tends to sort of come and go. I'll either do a load of gaming ones or a load of history ones. I do try and intersperse them, but I don't always manage to succeed. And by I don't always, I mean I very rarely manage to succeed. Why did Napoleon make Grouchy a marshal if he wasn't a good commander? Why not give the corps to Girard instead? Well, yeah, I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? Why was Grouchy made a marshal? He wasn't terrible. Like I say, he was a decent enough general. I think his orders. I think the orders that he was given were not quite up to snuff. For me personally, I would have made Van Damme a marshal. Now he did have personal beef with Napoleon, so that might be why he wasn't in the frame. But yeah, no, I'm not really sure, to be honest, why he made Grouchy a marshal. Yeah, I don't think he was any worse qualified than anyone else. I mean, if you think of Linney, Derlon, he blundered about not really doing anything a couple of days before, so it wasn't just Grouchy, but Derlon was equally to blame. Luckily, though, for Napoleon, he won that battle, so Derlon's appearance and then disappearance didn't really matter so much. But Waterloo, obviously did have a huge impact. Script? You mean we have videos of script? Yeah, no, yeah. It doesn't appear. The history ones definitely are scripted though, because there's just so much like quotes and details and things that I need to get in and need to get right. That's the important thing. That they take me a long time. The gaming ones I can sometimes do with just notes. I don't necessarily need to type all those out. But the history ones, yeah, no, they do require being typed out. I am a bear of little brain, I'm afraid. So yeah, they definitely need typing out, those ones. Andreas, hello Andreas. The hill would be interesting. The more I look at it, the more of his second division seems to be the perfect Wargaming army for the peninsula. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did the video recently on the third division, but the second division was equally cool. It's just the thing that tipped it to the third division for me was twofold, well, threefold. One was Picton. I mean, just said that we hear too much about him. The second one was that it had some Highlanders and regular troops. Now, I think the second division might have had Highlanders in there as well. And the third one was that the flag sheet from Victrix has basically all the third division's flags on. So that was the third reason why I picked those. But the one that I really, really want to do justice to, the one I really want to spend a long time on, is my new Napoleonic man crush, Eugène de Beauharnais. So he was Napoleon's stepson. He was Josephine's son from her first marriage. And I actually think he was one of the best independent French commanders. And I think he would have made an excellent marshal. And he wasn't made one. And I don't really know why he wasn't made one. He was made Viceroy of Italy. So it might be that because he had a civil title, Napoleon didn't want to give him like a top-ranking military one as well, perhaps. But yeah, Eugène was an absolutely superb commander. In 1814, he commanded the Italian army, and he fought solo campaigns against the Austrians and, to a lesser extent, some of the Russians as well. Mostly the Austrians, though, and he fought them to a standstill while everyone else was getting pushed back to France. So no, he did an absolutely superb job. So he will be a Napoleonic figure at some point. I expect a Muhammad Ali Pasha style, like hour-long video on him, because he is a fascinating dude. Shakos and Spruce, so far for Naps, have Perry, Victrix, and Warlords. Although Calpe do look like some nice figures too. Yeah, I've heard a lot about Calpe, particularly their Prussians. I hear a lot of people like them. I've had a look at their website. I have to be honest, they didn't really jump off the screen to me. But I should probably get some anyway, shouldn't I? And have them in my hand, and then I can give a full assessment. I mean, third's awesome. I'm doing them. The second is closer contender. I thought, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. No, the second are cool as well. I mean, certainly. Now I've completed my third division. If I get any more British, I will probably be doing the second division. Will be my next choice. Front rank also do a really nice model of General Hill as well, so that's also a bonus. I often use him as a divisional commander. So again, just sort of touching up these epaulets. If I'd used the right red in the first place, I wouldn't have to do this. So that'll be a lesson to you. Make sure you don't try and save time by using the wrong colour, because you'll be disappointed in the end, and then it's going to cost you more time to fix when you have to go back and highlight it. You see, I've got some on his strap there. Now, one of the things with these straps is if you look very carefully, I'm going to wash my brush out, and we'll have a. I'll show you with the tip of the brush. There we go. We're looking around the side there. Got another once over. Lovely. Now the straps here have got like a central bit and then a line and then a line above. Now, I'm not sure if the border of the strap is metal or not. Sometimes they were like a silver. So I shall need to look that up. Menno Timpo is currently painting some Nassau troops, 1/72 scale. Very cool uniforms. Yes, they are super cool uniforms. Yeah, at the Carabineers game, they certainly got a lot of the attention. That's for sure. I was asking them there, and a couple of people said what the uniform was when they were in French service. Apparently, it was the same. So that's cool. If you can use those really nice figures for both, for the Allies and in French service. That's one of the reasons why I got the Bavarian Army, Carabineers, was so I can use them on both sides. Because obviously they flipped in 1814. So let's have a look. So I've just gone onto the Google machine. I'm having a look at the strap. So it looks like it was yellow in the middle and silver on each end. No, right, okay, yeah, fair enough. I'm also checking out the saddle box and saddle cloth here as well. Looks like they were dark blue. I thought they were light blue, but they were certainly light blue in the later Carabineers. But here they've gone for a nice dark blue, so that's fair enough. I'm going to use the same colour that I used for the coats, Leviathan blue. It certainly looks like I'm looking at the painting by. Let's see, I can't see his name at the bottom. Rouget. I'm looking at Rouget's painting of a Carabineer. He's quite nice. He's got like he's resting on his sword point on the ground, looking off wistfully into the distance. So that's what I'm going to be using for his as my inspiration. So in fact, before I do this, I'm gonna. As I say this every time I do a live stream. Excuse me while I contradict myself, as Murray Walker said. I'm gonna do. There we are. I'm going to get this one first, Skeleton Hoard. And I'm going to do the sheepskins with this. The reason being, because it's a lighter colour, if I go over, when I go onto the parts of the model that I don't want the paint, then it'll go over with the dark blue much easier. So I'm going to pop away my small detail brush. I'm going to get back out my medium brush. It's a small base brush, this one. It's a little bit bigger. Also got some hairs at crazy angles. I'll have to sort that out. Right, so let's go. Again, this is going to be an occasion where the figure's being based. It's going to be a bit of a pain in the balls. I don't always base my figures. I should state. In fact, I glued to my painting stick some Janissaries last night and sprayed them this morning. So this is how I normally paint with my guys on a stick like this. But for these guys, I did the horses, glued them to the bases, then glued the riders on the horses, and I've glued the riders in position, which I've painted the riders in position, which is not always great, but it keeps everything together, and it means I don't have to touch the figures while I'm painting them. So here we go. This brush has got bristles going all over the place. Try and train that back into place. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to get it on the carbine here, but that's fine because I haven't painted the carbines yet. So have I? Well, I have. I did. Well, I'm going to have to go back over that then. As I say, it's been a long time since I worked on these guys, which is why I thought today is a perfect excuse to get them finished. And they'll be ready for whenever Asper and Essling finally hits the tabletop. They'll be ready to be busted out and used for that. So the Victrix brick flags are Picton's third. Interesting. I don't know if there's a theme to the Victrix French flags. To be honest, I don't know with the French ones. The Victrix do 2 A4 sheets of British flags, and it's sheet 1, which is the one that I'd already bought. That's the 3rd division. I really do suggest with the British buying a sheet of flags and painting the regiments to match the flags. So much cheaper than doing it the other way, unless you specifically want a regiment. So for argument's sake, if you were in a regiment or one of your family members was, or it's a regiment that's local to you, or for some other reason, you feel that you want to do that specific regiment, then that's fine. But I really, really do recommend that you pick up a sheet of flags and then you paint the regiments out flags. For the French, it's not so much of a problem because everyone's the same. Same with the Russians. Everyone's got the same uniform, so you can just swap in and out the command groups as you want. But for the British or any unit that has those facings like that, or the Austrians, I guess, would be another example. Then get the ones that you can find the flags for, and then paint them up that way. I think a lot of people forget that Grouchy won a battle against the Prussians after Waterloo. Yeah, well, exactly. The Battle of Wavre. Now, this is one of the things that's taking time as well to get my Prussian scripts together for publication. Is I want to do an appendix, which is the Battle of Wavre. It wasn't a major battle. It was a reinforced French corps versus quite a weak Prussian corps. So it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't Linny. But it wasn't nothing either. You know, he did still win the battle. It is worth pointing that out. So here we go. I'm just going. I have to say, this skeleton Hoard, not my favourite of the contrast paints. It always goes on a little bit. I know it sounds silly, but it goes on a little bit thin for me. Being a contrast, you would think you're supposed to go on thin, but I don't know. It's that's it. At the front there is dry now. So it doesn't look too bad once it's dry. Let me see. There's a bit too much light on that. There we are. So it looks pretty well. Oh, hang on. On camera, you can do it. It looks all right, but I don't know. When it's going on, it always feels like it's not going on very well at all. But the final result is what matters, isn't it, really? Now, the standard bearer, he might have a black one as well. I'll be honest with you, I can't remember. But today, he's going to have a sheepskin one. If it turns out being black, I can always go back over and paint the black over the top. I almost certainly won't because I'm lazy, but I could if I wanted to. So that's the intention is there. That's the important thing. For the brief time the Dutch and Nassau were on the board, you mean? Yeah, no, the Nassau did okay. They fought through. They didn't do as well as they did against General Andy. He could not get rid of him. I think they were hampered by the fact that we used the open woods special rule. So that meant that the French didn't have to break down into skirmish order to fight them in there. So I think that probably helped us. But no, it was. I mean, the Nassau in history did very well, both at Carabineers and at Waterloo. That's him done. Rennes. Alexander the Great. I don't know whether you can read French, but there was a book that's been published recently by Michael Carabineers about Eugene. Oh, okay, very well written. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. I've got quite an old biography of Eugene by. Can I see it from here? Hang on. It is there. So this is the one that I'm sort of going off at the moment by Carola Oman. It is Napoleon's Viceroy, and it is something of a weighty tome. It is. Let me have a look. 524 pages. So I am working my way through it, but obviously I don't just want to use one source as well. So I'm looking at other stuff. But no, he's an interesting guy, and as someone says in the comments, he did prove himself in the Russia campaign as well. Alexander the Great, in fact. Well, what kind of relationship he had with Napoleon? A very good one, actually. It's quite a strange one. So he was Napoleon. He went with Napoleon to Egypt, so he was with him from the very early days. And they had a bit of a falling out when Napoleon was in Poland. Napoleon took a Polish mistress, which I think that's fair enough. But even after Napoleon and Josephine's divorce, they still remain pretty tight, to be fair. Samwise Rando says, "Hi mate, just found your videos and started a Russian army. Just finishing a Jaeger unit up now." Oh, very nice. Well, welcome. Yeah, well, it's nice to see you, Sam. Russian Jaegers are cool. I've only got 1 battalion of them. I used the Perrys for mine because they had the like the undressed cap. So I gave all my Jaegers the caps. Now they didn't just wear those; they wore Shakos as well. But I just gave them that just to differentiate them a little bit more than just the black straps that they had as well. Which I have to say makes painting them an absolute dream. I much prefer painting Jaegers to Russian line because that's a lot of white. Hi Tim, would you model the 1st and 2nd Regiment for the French? What, the 1st and 2nd Carabineers or the 1st and 2nd Infantry? I've got the 1st and 2nd Infantry, line and light, because they were the corps I commanded at the Great Game up in Glasgow. But for the Carabineers, I've only got this 1 regiment at the moment. There were only 2 regiments of Carabineers. I've got 2 armoured Carabineer regiments, but I've only got the one pre-1812 one. What's going on here? Let's try that. Yeah, you're 100%. Space Force Grey has the same issue. Yeah. I've not used Space Force Grey actually. I've got some First World War French that need doing, so I've put it to one side for them. I used to use Space Wolf Grey, the old the Fang spray paint, as a base for all my Death Corps of Krieg, but I've not painted any of those in years. It's a shame because they're a cool army. They've just come out in plastic, and they're kind of when it comes to 40k, I'm not at all with Napoleonics, but when it comes to 40k, I'm a bit of a snob. So I like to have the armies that no one else has got. Now they're in plastic. I'm a bit like, well, that's the end of my interest in them. Yeah, 100%. Does anyone else supply that there's 1/32nd Nassau troops need to finish the display? No, I don't know. Possibly Hat. I know they do some larger ones. Talieri might do a set of 4 1/32nd scale as well. Now I don't know if they do Nassau or not. They might do. In the back of my mind, I've seen some dudes in Colpacks, but they might be French light infantry. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. 1/32nd scale Nassau. No, it doesn't look like it, I'm afraid. For some reason, I've got a 1/32nd Messerschmitt ME-262, the jet fighter. That's come up, but yeah, not Nassau, I'm afraid. Just added Dutch Grenadiers and Fusilier Chasseurs to my guard. Oh, fantastic! Yeah, no, they're cool, man. I've got some Avonpost figures, and I wanted to do them as something different, so I've done those as Dutch Grenadiers. I need to finish those off. They're lovely models. They're very expensive though, and they're very fine. They're not really. I feel that they're not really gaming pieces because they're a little bit too detailed and a little bit too fragile. Now, that said, if you haven't got chimp fingers like me, then you'll probably be all right with them. But for me, I would be worried that they were going to explode all the time. But yes, having them as Dutch Grenadiers is pretty cool, actually. I really like the Dutch Grenadiers. Andrew Frank asks, what am I painting? I'm painting French Carabineers. So they are elite heavy cavalry. They consider themselves elite heavy cavalry. Their war record is perhaps not as good as they might have liked to have made out. But yes, these are before 1812. They wore basically fancy dragoon uniforms. After that, they got the brass. Well, a bit of my beard. They got the brass breastplates and helmets. So we're doing them before 1812. So they'll be useful for Austerlitz, Marengo, what's the other one I'm trying to think of? Asprey and Essling, Vagram. Any of these battles, they'll be useful for that for. So I'm going to start with the saddle cloths now. And I'm going to try and avoid getting any paint on the edges, because the edges are white, but I'm probably going to have to go back over the edges anyway. It's just to make my life easier in the future. I've found with these contrast paints, one of the key things is try and be as neat as you can with them, and you will save a lot of time. I'm noticing that the paint here is going on very thin. Now, unlike the Skeleton Bone or the Space Wolf Grey, this Leviathan Blue goes on really nicely. It's quite a thick, dark paint. So that makes me think I've got too much water on the brush. So I just dried it off a little bit. And we'll bang on the second layer. And hopefully we'll get that nice dark blue. I actually had a light blue ready to go, because I assumed that the saddle cloths were going to be light blue, but it turns out they're not. They're dark blue. They go lighter blue later when they get the armor. So, I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure what to do about the trumpeter either. I've left his facings white at the moment. Again, I was assuming he was going to be light blue as well, because he is later. But he may not be. So I'm going to have to double check that before I paint. Got some on the edging there. That's a pain in the arse. Again, that's due to them being on the base. So, yeah, no, there's definite disadvantages about basing them before painting them. That there is no doubt. So that's him done. He's looking cool. I'm not going to do the... am I going to do the Carabineer? Let me have a look. Oh, no, I need to do the box at the back here as well, don't I? I'm not going to do the trumpeter's saddle cloth, because I'm not sure what colour that is. But I am going to do the box that he's got at the back. General Dan will tell you the cursing that I do when it comes to painting musicians. I absolutely hate them. I just hate them all. The reason being because you can get on a nice roll with the other guys. So you paint an infantry regiment or infantry battalion. You've got 35 figures. You smash them all out, and you get to that guy like, oh yeah, no, I'm wearing green and yellow. And it's like, well, I've not even used green in the entire rest of the regiment. Oh well, I'm wearing green. No, brilliant. Oh, I hate them. I hate them so much. The British ones are alright. They're just in reverse colours. But the French ones, I do very cursory jobs on them because they just really annoy me. Just added the Dutch Grenadier. I've already got one. Grenadier Cheval. Close. Yeah, no, they're the Carabineers, but they have very similar uniforms, Grenadier Cheval. So the Dutch did nothing then at Quatre Bras. That's a bit disheartening to hear. No. The actual battle, the Dutch Belgians fought very, very bravely and did very well. Dan's referring to a series of live streams, which you might not have seen on the channel yet, of a game we played a couple of weeks ago. And it was the Battle of Quatre Bras that we did. And the Dutch Belgians were commanded by General Ritchie in that one. And his dice rolling was absolutely appalling. So unfortunately for him, the Dutch Belgians didn't do particularly well in the game. But historically, they fought very well. So thank you. So yeah, no, don't worry. In history, they were very good. Oh, you went the 1st and 2nd battalions for each regiment, Brendan? No, I probably wouldn't, because the vast majority of British regiments, not all of them, so I should point that out as a caveat. Definitely not all of them, but the vast majority of them only had what's called one field battalion. So they had 2 battalions, but the 2nd battalion would be a recruitment thing. So they would be recruited in, I don't know, Sheffield, as an example, and then march off to the depot, probably in Catterick, be trained up there by the 2nd battalion, then they would move to the 1st battalion when they got deployed to the peninsula. That didn't always happen, but that is what usually happens. So for the British, I'd only do 1 battalion. For the French, I'd probably look at painting 3 battalions per regiment, because they had a very similar system, but they had 3 field battalions, and then the depot battalion. Later on, I mean, certainly some of them would end up having 6 field battalions. But no, for the British, I'd just do 1 battalion per regiment, unless I had an order of battle that said the 2nd battalion was present as well. I think in the 3rd division, was it the 45th? I think had 2 battalions. So, as I say, it did happen. It was just the exception rather than the rule, though. Benedict, victory do some 1/32 54mm Brits. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, no, they do. That's a fair shout. The Nassau are quite different to the British. They're more of a French style cut uniform, but that said, I think they also do 1/32 scale French as well. So, no, the Victrix is a good shout actually. We've got some on the white border there. Annoying. Never mind. Right, lovely. Most cavalry, except possibly humans, consider themselves elite. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and ironically, I think it was the dragoons who probably were the most, not the most elite, but certainly the most rugged, the most battle hardened, because they had to do the most jobs. Although, to be fair, the hussars and the chasseurs as well also worked pretty hard. I think the easiest job was probably a cuirassier, to be honest. You'd sort of sit around for most of the battle and then do a charge and win the battle, but and that'd be pretty much it, especially if you weren't a carbine equipped cuirassier, so you wouldn't even end up doing picket duty. Do I think Ney was sabotaging the just read Mark T's comment, the French musicians just for hereditary? Yeah, I think they did. Although having said that, one of the units I am really thinking of getting is the tête de colonne, the head of the Imperial Guard band, because they look really cool. No, but that's different. You know what you're getting into with that. You can get on a roll with painting those guys. But oh yeah, God, they piss me off. They piss me off so much. Imperial livery. Ugh. Anyway, do I think Ney was sabotaging the French army at Waterloo? I've read accounts which describe Ney as a madman leading cavalry charges with a death wish. I actually think now I can't really support this in any way, but I think he may have been suffering, if not PTSD, certainly something that was referred to as battle fatigue, which is, I mean, this particularly after Russia, I think there's a marked difference between his performance before the retreat from Moscow and his performance afterwards. And for Napoleon, he just jogged on and left the rest of the army to their own devices, very similar to what he did in Egypt, to be fair. Whereas Ney was the guy who retreated with the army, had to hold it together, all that stuff. So I think the real burden of the retreat on Moscow did fall on Ney's shoulders, and to be honest, I think it probably broke him. I think it was a little bit too much for him. But that's sort of Ney's tragedy as far as I'm concerned. But no, I don't think he was actively trying to sabotage him. I think he was just not necessarily in the right place for it. So there was a Marshal Massena, and he was made the Prince of Essling. Now, Napoleon once referred to him as the darling child of victory, or the daring child of victory. I've also heard it said. And after his disastrous stint in the peninsula, he was brought back before Napoleon. And he said, Prince of Essling, I see you are no longer Massena. And he was very disappointed that Massena had sort of gone over the hill as well. So I think Ney was probably in a similar position to Massena. Probably more so, to be honest, that he just wasn't there mentally for the Waterloo campaign. I mean, the real question is, why didn't he take Davout? I think Ney would have been better off back in Paris as the figurehead of Napoleon's government, and Davout would have been much better on the field. But it's another one of those tantalizing what ifs from the 100 Days campaign. It was the 5th that had both battalions at Salamanca. Oh, there you go. I knew there was someone. I couldn't remember who it was. And yes, no, that's a fair point, actually. If they did have 2 field battalions, they tended to go separately. That is true. You see a lot of the same names in the War of 1812 fighting there that are also fighting in the peninsula as well. So that's obviously a second battalion fighting out there. And obviously it's you can form a bit of a quick reaction force as well. If you don't have to pull troops out of one theatre and then send them to another, if you've got a reserve back in Britain, then you can just send them straight to the colonies or wherever it is they need to go. William Pusha, I think the Carabineers thinking they were elite was due to being paid on par with the Guard. Yes, absolutely. That was it was a bit of a sop to them, certainly. They were the premier 2 regiments of the line cavalry. So they definitely thought very highly of themselves. I question, though, whether that was justified or not. I've not really seen much about the Carabineers achieving greatness. So I don't know. That's not to say that they didn't, because I've not seen it yet. If anyone knows of a battle or an engagement where the Carabineers covered themselves in glory, then let me know, because I am yet to find one, I have to say. Everyone gangster till your shelf of bricks line inventory. I'll present arms while you're in bed. Absolutely. When I was a kid, I used to think they came alive at night, but that's because I read Indian in the Cupboard at a very impressionable age. So that's why I'm blaming for that. I'm blaming Indian in the Cupboard. That was a good book, man. They made a film, didn't they? Good point. How the French could still have faith in Napoleon after the Russian disaster. Well, yeah. I mean, again, I've got to wonder how much the French really knew about the Russian disaster. Obviously, they knew that they'd lost a load of dudes, but I wonder how much they really knew about the realities of it. I've been watching a series on YouTube called World War II, and it's they did a World War I day by day, and they're doing the same thing World War II. So, like, this week in 1942, I think they're at the moment. And when the Japanese lost the Battle of the Coral Sea, they lost their 4 main aircraft carriers, and the Navy just didn't tell anyone. So the Army are like, oh yeah, we can attack this island here with naval support from the aircraft carriers. And the Navy's like, oh, no, we can't do that because the carriers are busy doing naval stuff like miles away. And the Army's like, oh, right, okay, that's a bit weird, but all right. Yeah, so it's amazing what is kept from populations. And I wonder, certainly Napoleon had a secret police, and he did not allow dissent. So I wonder if it was a similar thing in Napoleonic France. Huge amount of pressure on Ney as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Was Ney the French cavalry commander with a fancy hair? He was no. I think that's probably either Murat. You think of? I think someone says there. But he didn't have he was known as Le Rougeard. He was known as the Redhead, and he, I think is it in the film Waterloo? I think it is, where like he takes his hat off and he says, "Oh, it's me, it's Ney. Like you can follow me." He certainly had a reputation amongst the army. He was famously the last guy out of Russia. Whether that's true or not, that was certainly the reputation that he had. I think as a soldier, Ney was definitely up there. But yeah, I don't know. I think at Waterloo he was just not really there. Not the Coral Sea. Lost 4 carriers at Midway. Sorry, yes, it was Midway, was it? Not the Coral Sea. Yes, no, it was the disaster at Midway that they didn't tell anyone about. Which I should know really, because I've got the Akagi on my shelf somewhere. I don't know what I've done with it. It's going to be for my Flames of War Japanese Army. Those of you who joined me on the last live stream will have seen me painting some of my Japanese, or there might have been the one before last. I see me painting some of my Japanese army because I wanted to do a live stream, but I had a game I was using the next day. I should probably say, for those of you who did see me painting my Japanese, they performed absolutely appallingly. They charged the British after all their defensive fire with Vickers and Bren guns and grenades and all sorts. My my infantry command team got into combat wielding his mighty katana. The forward observation officer stood up and punched him in the face and killed my Japanese officer. So that was the end of my glorious Banzai charge. But the most important thing is I did get to yell Banzai, so that's the most important thing. What is everyone painting? That's a good question, Boney. I should have asked that, shouldn't I? So thank you for asking that one. What is everyone working on? We've got some Nassau going on. We've got some. I know General Dan's watching. He's I think he's at the football with his kids. He it's probably more entertaining than watching his kids play football, to be fair. But Theodore says the local Japanese commanders didn't even tell their commanders their losses, so Tokyo didn't know what losses were. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Are you painting the first Swiss? Oh, we were just talking about the Swiss. Oh, that's cool. Which ones are the first Swiss? Are they the ones with the white facings? I think I've got 2 battalions of those I've done. The Swiss are I really like the Swiss. I think they're really cool. From what I've read about the Japanese, the senior staff are highly allergic to enterprise and field officers. Yeah, no, that was a bit of an issue for them, wasn't it? Painting Wars of the Roses. Oh, that's cool, Mark T. What scale are you doing Wars of the Roses? I've actually got covered in dried water, so it looks a bit disgusting, but it's not as disgusting as it looks. Obviously, got some Peter Pig Wars of the Roses on my painting table at the moment. Here's a couple of bases I've completed. He's slipped off the horse. I need to glue him on properly. But that's one of the bases. He just needs his finishing off. But I've been getting into a bit of Wars of Roses recently, actually, playing Art de la Guerre, the rule sets that our club uses quite heavily for ancients and medievals. He's done. That's cool. Well, the first one had the yellow facings, right? Okay, yeah. 2 mil Napoleonic French. Blimey, Charlie. Well, I hope you make sure that you get all the Shako plates right. You don't want the lozenge Shako plates on the Eagle guys. Not at 2 mil. That would be embarrassing. Now, joking aside, mate, I've got a lot of respect for that. 2 mil. That's crazy. Just about to start some French line for Talavera. Haven't got the Brits yet, but thankfully How to Start Peninsula British came out just at the right time. No, you're welcome. Talavera is an interesting one, actually. I don't know a huge amount about Talavera, but that was certainly Wellington considered that to be his greatest victory. Which, okay. I keep getting told that the Spanish didn't really fire a volley and run away at Talavera, but I don't know. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if that's just sort of post-revisionist revisionism, or if it's actually true. I've got that one there. Peninsula British and Portuguese. Oh, that's cool. Excellent. It's good to see a lot of peninsula stuff out there. I always get a bit depressed. That's why I'm doing these videos tomorrow and in the future about how everyone always does Waterloo. Waterloo's cool, but I think the peninsula's got so much more going for it as well. Wars of Roses in 28mm. Ah, cool. Are they the Perrys? Or I know Front Rank, they also do a nice range of Wars of the Roses in 28mm. The Coldstreams and Hanoverians, very nice. First Swiss had a yellow face. Yes, thank you, Mr. Bird. Yes. There's some half-painted Hanoverian Landwehr staring at me accusingly. I'll summon the motivation to finish them. Yeah, no, well, like I say, these Carabineers have been on my painting station for, in this state, probably 9 months. Yeah, it's been a long old time, I have to say. It's nice to get them out again. I've actually got a ton of Front Rank that I need, probably literally a ton of Front Rank that I need to start chopping into, really. I've got 4 battalions of their Russian Guard, I think. I need to get started with. So again, I'm trying to avoid the border where I can, but if I get it on there, so I've got it on there a little bit. Not the end of the world. I'll be able to paint over that. Just tuck it in there. This white border is very handy as well because it means if I miss a bit, it'll just look like it's part of the border, which is not too Not too sad at all. There we go. Oh, blimey. Very 28mm, that's cool. Yep, yellow, just did the facings yesterday. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, no, the Swiss are a really cool looking unit. I really like the Swiss. When I did my my first episode on the Swiss, I really liked the Revolutionary Wars, the actual Revolution Swiss as well. I might have to get some of those guys at some point. I'm not really sure what I'd do with them. Their first battle after the Revolution was the Battle of Maida, which I do also quite fancy doing, actually. I think that'd be quite an interesting one. In fact, I might talk to General Dan about that. Although, if we do the Battle of Maida, that's not really going to encourage General Dan to paint Austrians, is it? We need to give him maximum encouragement. Oh, yes, the only reason I remember the Wars of Roses is a friendly fire incident. Artillery crew shot their own monarch. Yeah, the Wars of Roses is an interesting. As a Yorkshireman, I should know more about it than I do. We went up past Sandal Castle recently. That was Richard of York's castle. When we went up to Morpeth for the game, we went past Sandal, but we didn't pop in. Richard Duke of York wasn't home. I just noticed a little bit was missing between his saber and his his bib and his epaulet there. 20mm Union Brigade Lifeguards. Ooh, very nice. So there's a lot of guard being done at the moment. That's what I like to see. Get those fancy regiments out. That's why I can't take to the Prussians, really, or the Austrians for that matter. I'm like, look, if you've not got a guard, then what's the point, man? Yes, my sister 28mm. That's cool. I'll do Austrians at some stage. Veteran that cavalry look amazing. Thank you. Just finished the 13th Austrian Grenzers with red blanket. Now, I don't know anything about the 13th Austrian Grenzers, Steve Beard, so I'm going to say you are not allowed to watch any more unless you tell me what you mean by they had a red blanket. That sounds really interesting. Well, they had like red blankets slung across their chests, like Russian style, or what? That sounds really cool. So, what's the red blankets for the 13th Grenzer? Danube campaign French line. Oh, that's what I like to see. Yeah. Praise Wars of Roses got a convention 2 weeks ago, so getting them ready. In 2 weeks. Oh, blimey. All right, okay. Are you putting on a display game, or is that for a tournament, or what's going on with those Wars of Roses? And who are you doing? That's the real question. Are you doing Yorkshire, or are you doing Lancaster, or someone else entirely? Someone like Stanley, or I guess like Warwick can fight for both sides. He was mainly a Yorkist, but he did fight for the Lancastrians at the end. General Dan, he's a huge Wars of Roses fan. I'm not sure if he's got an army for it actually, but certainly the history. If you want to know anything about medieval history and warfare, General Dan is 1000% the man to speak to, because that's his thing. Especially the Crusades. He's still not quite got over the fall of Constantinople yet, which is mainly the reason why I want to do an Ottoman army, just to troll him. You got to do these things to your friends, haven't you? Boney's me definitely agree. I was a bit afraid of difficulty painting white as a beginner, but in fact, it's okay. Okay, good. I'm glad you're finding it pretty well. Menno Timpo, that's good. Yep, you got to get painting along to these. That's what I like to see. It can be very, very difficult to get the motivation. like I say, I've had these guys hanging around for months now, and I've just not been motivated to paint them. So thank you for joining me in this paint along, because if I've encouraged you to do some painting, it's no more than you've done for me. So I thank you for that. Because otherwise it would be at least another month that these guys are sitting unpainted, because I've got some Janissaries to do. So I've also got some an army of Chaos Dwarfs to paint that I need for next weekend, but they're mostly in the bag, so they shouldn't be too bad. In fact, I took apart my my General's mount. We had a practice game on Thursday, General Dan and I, and I took apart the mount because he needs quite a lot of TLC. He's been bashed about by being taken to tournaments over the last 6 or 7 years, so it's about time he got a bit of love. Waiting on more Prussian Grenadiers. Only need 4 more years for me to have a complete company. Is that 1815 Grenadiers? Or, well, I imagine it'd be early ones, is it? When they've got that weird sort of plume that goes sideways. The 1806 Prussians really are calling to me, I have to say. I've missed his... How did I not do this guy's sheepskin? I didn't do the other guys either, to be fair. I just missed the whole base. Okay. Let's go back and do that then. Oh, I don't know. That's annoying. In fact, I'll break the production line now and go back and do that. It'll give me a chance for a sip of coffee as well. It's all right, John. We know what you mean. The household brigade, the heavy brigade, they all die easily under the tips of my Polish and Dutch lancers. So that's the important thing. Theodore Bennett, well, thank you. It's nice to have you. Yeah, no, it is. It's what time is it here in the UK? It's 12:30 now. So I can imagine it is quite early in the States. I'm not sure whereabouts in the States you are, but thank you for joining me. One of my ambitions in life is I'm I'm quite a humble guy. I don't have very grandiose ambitions. Is to go to Adepticon in America. I would absolutely love to go there one year, because Americans do conventions very differently to how we do them here in the UK. We've got one coming up shortly here called Partisan, which is in Newark, which is not too far from here, actually. It's about an hour from here. It's about half an hour, or maybe not even that, from General Dan. And it's like a big convention. It's like a hangar, basically. It's like an aircraft hangar. It's going to be full of stalls and bring and buys and things like that. And you go there, you pay your money to get in, and you buy your figures and you leave again. There'll be people putting on display games. There'll be some demonstration games, but largely it's just a big like shopping center. But in America, and it's it opens at 10 and finishes at 4, and then everyone goes home again. Whereas in America, I know they have like multi-day conventions, which just seems absolutely crazy to me. And like a hotel, it's just like, yeah, you're going to have a convention weekend where it's nothing but games for the entire weekend. That sounds pretty awesome to me. Right, so that's them. That's cool. Now I'm going to do some. I'm going to open the black now, and we're going to get some moustaches done. Now the hair, I'm leaving white. I don't know for certain, but I think that at this period, they certainly queued their hair. So Q is what they used to do in the 7 Years' War. You can see it on this guy most clearly. He's got like a pigtail at the back, and they used to powder their hair in the 7 Years' War period. Now I don't know if they still powdered their hair in 1809, but I'm going to leave them white for now, because if they didn't, I can always paint the colours over the top. Whereas if they did powder their hair, it's going to be a pain in the arse to get them white again. So I'll leave them for now. Even though I don't think it looks particularly great, I have to say. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going over the odd one. I'm going to paint their moustaches. Being elite cavalry, they've all got moustaches. So European elite cavalry, I should say. But I'm not going to paint everyone with a black one. I'm going to do some brown as well. So bang that one on there. There we go. The Swiss were elites. They did a good job on the Russians. They did do a good job on the Russians. Yeah, the Battle of the Berezina. They fought and died to the last man. Spoiler alert if you're following the if you're going to be following the Swiss series. But they fought very hard at the Berezina. They're an interesting one. They didn't fight that many battles, I don't think. But they seem to have done a pretty good job when they did fight. You definitely got your money's worth when you employed the Swiss. Colonel, I'm going to give him a sort of white moustache. I've already done the standard bearer. That's good. Oh, hang on. What's going on here? There we are. Oh, hang on. My screen's gone. Mega wonky. Let's try that one again. Oh no, I've already done the Trump 2. He's got a brown moustache on that one. I'm going to leave him brown. It's got like Freddie Mercury. I've just had to reload my page. Oh no, the chat's back. That's good. I wasn't sure if it was going to reload the comments, but it has. That's good. Early 1806 boys. Yeah, that's what I see. No French has gone past at this time. Blue Blazes Napoleon. Yeah, Napoleon was just some upstart. Was it the monster? Was Queen Louise of Prussia gave him that nickname. So, and in return, Napoleon. This is one of my favourite cutting remarks of Napoleon. He referred to Queen Louise as the only man in Prussia, which is particularly good. I really like that one. She was some gal, was Princess Louise. I was just 2 days, and you're running a Wild West and Wars of the Roses. That's cool. That's a good selection there. Good difference. Right, so that's those ones. I'm going to quickly do some white as well. Let's get some Corax white, some off-white. As you can see, this is an absolute disaster of a paint. It goes like it's a nice base. It really is a nice base coat, but you can see how it all separates and goes hard in the bottom. It's a bit of a disaster, but while it works, it is really nice. So it's a tough one, that one. And most of my colonels have white moustaches because they are old, and old people have white moustaches. That is the scientific laws of nature. So that's why he's got there. While I've got the white out, I'm also going to do the back of their bear skins as well. The monkey's arse, if I can find it. So, let's have a look. Here we go. So, very similar to the Swiss. They've got the cross here. One of the things I'm a little bit disappointed with my Swiss is I did them using the original periplastics. So it's the 1812 to 15 units. I've done like 6 of them, so I'm not going back and doing them again. But it means I don't get the bear skins. And the guys in the red with the bear skins look absolutely epic. So I might actually end up just painting up a couple of grenadier companies for them, and completely historically inaccurately sticking in the old the red coated bear skins with the rest of the battalion. One thing that the 1812 to 15 infantry are very useful for, if you're doing Swiss, are I can't remember what they're called, but they were oh, blimey, this is a terrible story. I can't remember the name of the unit. I can't remember who they belong to. They belonged to Marshal Davo, I want to say. Yes, they belonged to Marshal Davo. They wore orange. And they wore like an orange short coat, which was basically the same as the Bardin coat. Slightly different, but close enough for 28mm. So that's another thing you can use those guys for, even if you're doing an early army. Also, you get to paint some guys orange. Now, there's not many orange regiments in the Napoleonic Wars. I mean, they weren't like bright orange, but they were a nice pastel orange. Van Gogh would have liked them, I think. So I'm just using this white to paint the stuff that hangs off the bearskins. I think it was white on the troopers. I think it's only metal on the officers. I shall have to double check that. But there we go. This is for, as someone pointed out earlier on, actually, you would take these off in battle usually, which means that these guys are in their sort of more formal dress, which means I can probably get away with the white bearskin on the trumpeter. If anyone asks, anyway, that's what I will say. So we're going on there. This is not looking great, I'll be honest. I'm going to have to go back over this, I think, and maybe dot in the red on the edges. Okay, well, they're going to do for now. New Châtel battalions. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yes, they're the guys in the orange. Thank you, son of Salop. Yes, no, that's right. I bought a book recently. I may have talked about it before, so it wasn't that recently. Called Napoleon's Mercenaries, and that's a great book for ideas. It's got tons of different units in there. It goes into what their uniform was, their battle history, things like that. And it's all the foreign units that fought for the French. I've got a battalion of front rank French light infantry currently in Detol. I'm stripping the undercoat off them. Bought them on eBay, and I think the guy had undercoated them with like wall paint. It was like an inch thick. So they're currently soaking. And because they're light infantry, I'm going to do them as the Irish battalion, just for something a bit different. They fought the British in Spain. I think they fought like one battle and then disappeared, never to be seen again. But they're just cool. They're just something different, and I don't want to do another French line unit. So it just gives me an excuse to do something a little bit different. Cav looking just fine. Thank you, Boney. Yeah, they're getting there. I don't know. There's just something about them I'm not really happy with. I'm hoping that by the time I've finished, it's all come together, and I'll be happy with them. But I'm not holding my breath. I've got to a point at the moment where I just want to get them done, to be honest. Which is never a good place to be, and you should enjoy painting the figures. But we'll see. Shoot the white-haired cavalryman. He's the officer. Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things. It's very silly, but I always do it. I love it. Especially the French cavalry. Like, you had colonels who were like 20. But yeah, no, not for me. If he's an old guy, if he's a high rank, he's got a mustache. He's got a white mustache. Let's grab him over here. There we are. Oh, Storm of Steel. Hi, Alex. Nice to see you, buddy. Yes, go and check out Storm of Steel. Award-winning channel, Storm of Steel. It's very, very good. He does a lot of chain of command, which he's got me looking into, which is probably a bad thing because I don't need another game system. But it looks very good. It's good that it's at platoon level, so you don't actually need that many models. And one of the things that always annoys me about World War II games is it starts at whatever level it starts off at. it very quickly dissolves into, and here's my King Tiger. And I'm like, whereas Chain of Command is very much not that. So it does look very good. That paint doesn't look clever. No, it's not. It's not. The stuff that you can use. So I've got I add a little bit of water and then just sort of shive off a little bit from the lumps that are in the lid. But the stuff that you can use is really good. It's nice and thick, and most importantly of all, it's off-white, so it doesn't really shine out in your face like a white would. Because it's slightly off-white, it's just a little bit toned down. It's just a little bit more naturalistic. Whereas if it was bright white, it might be a little bit much. So I think they're about done. You know what? While I'm doing these white, what I should be doing is the edging of the saddlecloth as well, shouldn't I? I'm not being as efficient as I could be here. Let's get that done there. I always find it's easier to get a straight line when you're painting sort of the outside colour, because you can obviously go over that a few times. Just use the edge of the brush just to straighten up that line. So there we go. Oh, you know, I've not even done the saddlecloth on here. Oh dear. There's just a little bit of a lump there, so let's get that out. There we are. Ah, perfect. Dips guard into a bucket of Nuln oil. Oh, Nuln oil is the best, isn't it? There. I'm just having a lunch break while I sing a Chain of Command video. Of course. No, it's good. It's good. I really like the Chain of Command stuff. And as you say, it's not all about, you know, oh yeah, you know, I've got, and that's a big problem with Flames of War, I find, is, oh, you know, here's a million tanks. It's like, well, okay. But for me anyway, Flames of War, I got into it more in the historical side than the tournament scene. So but the tournament scene is a massive part of the game, so I shouldn't really complain too much about that. But I think if you're playing with sort of like-minded people, it can be okay. But same as Japanese, you know, I fought a guy who had like a ton of British tanks, you know, Churchills and stuff, and I'm like, well, it's fair enough, but I mean, what's the point? If you take Churchills, I can't win. So, well done, you won. So I don't know. Mark would encourage me to give it a go. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm more than happy to play it with Alex if you'll demo it for me. I just haven't had time recently, to be honest. So I've not been down the club for a few weeks. So I know Alex is he's also very busy at the moment. Right. So I keep seeing bits I've missed on these guys. I think that's the problem. I like just that little bit there. There we go. So I've took that through. And I'll tilt them up. I can see I'm not done under there. And no one's ever going to look under that bedroll. I've obviously got lunch on the mind myself now. No one's going to look under that bedroll, but I'll know it's there. So that's why I have to get it done. So that's that one there. This guy may end up being an NCO as well, because he's not quite reached Colonel level yet. So he's not going to have a fully white moustache, but he is going to have white flecks in his blonde moustache. So there we go. It's just a couple of flecks in there. There we go. Oh, Marty, thank you very much, buddy. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Well, I appreciate having you here and painting along with me, dude. Because as I say, these Carabineers were never going to get finished otherwise. So thank you very much, Mark. That's much appreciated. It may have to go on another part of Corax White, because I think this one's on the way out. So these loops here. Oh, I've got one on this side as well. Now I've gone completely over the loop here. So let's use the side of the brush to get that up. There we are. I keep seeing bits I've missed on these guys. Every modeler ever. Yeah, I know, it's shocking, isn't it? There needs to come a time where you just have to stop. I used to be a big fan of Malcolm in the Middle when it was on, and there was an episode where Hal, the dad, the guy who was in Breaking Bad, where he quit work to become an artist, and he'd been doing like all these different art techniques and all this stuff, and then he just did like one brushstroke, and that was it. He was like, "Oh, it's finished. It's absolutely perfect." And like he called the rest of the family in, and they all agreed that it was like the best painting they'd ever seen. But he put so much paint on it that it eventually peeled away from the canvas and just collapsed on them. But yeah, there's definitely a moment where that's it. You know, no more can be done. It's as good as it's going to get. You're just chasing your tail after that. So, Boney says, "What are the cavalry I'm painting? I'm painting 18. Well, I'm going to call them 1809, but they're not really. They're pre-1812. So I'm painting 1809 French Carabineers. So they are elite medium cavalry, I guess you could say, like elite dragoons. They were paid the same rate of pay as Guard, so they considered themselves elite. But their war record, their battle history, doesn't quite it doesn't quite reflect that, shall we say. They were elite in the streets and a little bit shit in the streets, in the sheets. I think it's probably worth saying. He hasn't stabbed enough British people. Yeah. He's not leveled up yet. They are from Front Rank Bonies as well. Just to let you know, the manufacturer. They do a nice set of post 1812 Carabineers as well when they've got the helmets and the breastplate. I'm sure most of you have seen the breastplate that's on display in the Musée d'Armée, which has been hit by a cannonball. That's a Carabineers breastplate, the brass one. But they got those in time for the 1812 campaign. Before then, they were just they were dressed like this, so they were dressed very similar to Grenadier Cheval. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, if a few achievements of the Grenadier Cheval weren't actually done by the Carabineers, but the Grenadiers got the credit. I certainly know from reading a few accounts of battles, people talk about, "Oh, we defeated this unit," and it's like, yeah, it's particularly in Spain. You'll say, "Oh, yeah, we defeated the French Guard." Was one of the claims at Fuentes d'Onoro. And it's like, well, the French Guard are in Poland, so it's very unlikely that you beat the French Guard. But yeah, things like that. So sometimes these units get misdiagnosed, and certainly if it's the Guard, they're more likely to be misdiagnosed in their favour. Getting back to the World War II we were just talking about, yeah, every German tank was a Tiger tank. You know, when you read some of the memoirs. Yeah, in fact, in reality, it was like a Panzer III or something. But I guess when you're hull down in a tank, it doesn't really matter what it is, and you're trying to work out what it is probably the last thing you're worried about. The editing desk calls. I'm ducking out. Fee's looking great as always. Thanks, Alex. Nice to see you again, buddy. And I look forward to seeing your chain of command video. They were always paired with Carabineers, so couldn't quite show their potential without the Carabineers taking the glory. Yes, no, there's that as well, I suppose. It's interesting. One of the things I'm not sure about is what armor save they should be given. Should they get the same 3-up as a guard cavalryman or a cuirassier, or should they have a 4-up the same as a dragoon? Now, I'm tempted to give them a 3-up, and that's more for their own self-belief than anything else. But if someone said, no, it should be a 4-up, and they could argue it successfully, then I think I wouldn't dismiss that out of hand. That's for sure. They were maybe even you say, look, it's normally a 3-up, but they're at -3 against lancers. just to show their terrible performance against the Guard Cossacks. Not once, but twice they were defeated by the Guard Cossacks. So I've just done the officers dangly bit here. I think that's probably gold, I would have thought. But as I've got the white out anyway, let's just bang a quick coat of white on there. And it's not too sad to paint over it with the gold if I need to. Similar to, yeah, every day. Yeah. I had my economics teacher when I was in school. His dad fought in North Africa, and he was telling us once that his dad told him the story that he was in the Royal Tank Regiment, and his dad was telling me that they'd heard that there was a troop of Tiger Ones in the area. Now, obviously, this is when Tiger Ones were the absolute daddy-o. So they'd heard there was a troop of Tiger Ones in the area. So his troop just buried their tanks in the sand and just left them because they're like, look, we can't defeat these Tiger Ones anyway, so we may as well just completely camouflage them. And then if the tigers move on or it turns out not to be tigers, then we can go back, dig the tanks out, and we're good to go. So I don't know how true that is, but that was the story that he told us. Now this braid here, I'm 1,000% sure is going to be gold, so I'm not going to paint that. This here as well is probably also gold. He is a standard bearer, this chap, so he is an officer. I've not quite given him the gold braid that the colonel's got. He hasn't got the gold epaulets, and he's not got the gold collar. But I'm fairly certain his scrambled egg on his coat here will be gold. I think they were nicknamed the Gods or the Big Heels. Yes, they were. Yeah, the Gros Frere, the big brothers, were the Carabineers. The Gods were the Grenadier à Cheval. But yeah, the Big Heels, I think, were the Carabineers. I've just noticed as well, I've missed the inside of the arm on this guy. Honestly, I don't know what did it. He almost have painted these with sunglasses on. I've missed all the inside his arm there. Let's get that sorted. That's why I keep finding bits I've missed, because I've bloody missed loads. There we are. Lovely. Now, I was going to do a Kickstarter I've recently received called From Piano Miniatures. So they're a fairly new company. I'm going to give them a shout out here. So Piano Miniatures, they're a German company, and they've just finished and delivered on their Kickstarter for the Prince of Crowns, which is the army of... Now, I said this in the video where I did the cavalry. I always get these two mixed up. Like, always. I'm fairly sure it's the army of Württemberg. I think it's the army of Württemberg. It may end up being the army of Westphalia, but I'm fairly sure it's Württemberg. But anyway, he's just fulfilled that Kickstarter for the STL files, so for the files for 3D printing. So I did manage to print some of them off, but they didn't. It was entirely my fault. I had the settings wrong, and I wasn't 100% happy with them. So I'm going to print them out again. And what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to paint them on the stream and have them not look very good, because I think that would have been a bad reflection on Piano Miniatures, and it would not have been his fault. It was entirely my fault. So unfortunately, I didn't manage to get those guys ready for painting in time. But on the next stream, I will definitely be doing a review of those guys and painting some of them up as well. So check them out if you haven't already. That's Piano Miniatures. Piano as in like the instrument. Yeah, like, as I say, they're a German company. So if you're in Europe, I'm not the postage will be a lot easier than it will be in this country. I don't think he's done the physical models yet, but you can order them. He's just he's obviously gonna have a bit of a backlog, I'd imagine. But definitely a definitely a project worth checking out if you want an army that's a little bit different, or even just a couple of units. They're really, really nice. They did an infantry officer with like his helmet under his arm, and I'll be honest, there was a bit of, I don't know, he sent me an email and I didn't get the email. There was a bit of back and forth. He was a super cool guy about it though, and he ended up sending me the link to the officer, and I was like, look, I don't want to be a pain, but he's such a nice model. I would have been really disappointed if I didn't get him. So he eventually sent me a link for him. Again, he was a nice guy about it. I'm not. I don't want to pretend like I had to force him to or anything. He was more than happy to. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to getting him printed out and painted as well. He's a lovely model. But yeah, that's the Prince of Crowns Kickstarter. It's just delivered. But check out Piano Miniatures for those. So something a bit different. The last game we ever played against General Andy was using a Württemberg army. So I'm going to do it for him as well. In World War II, Dutch soldiers were given 5 bullets and were sent on a BJ on a bike, all right, to confront German tanks. Yeah. Well, I guess it's better than being on a horse and charging them, I suppose. Kickstarter find more than one man in Prussia. Ruffle blue noises. It is Württemberg. Ah, brilliant. Oh, thanks, Paul. Yes, no, they are lovely, lovely models. That's Paul Richardson, who's just commented, say they're Württemberg. That's my brother, who I've mentioned many times on this stream. He's a much better painter than me. Much better painter than me. He's finished at least 2 models ever, but but the models he paints are absolutely superb. So it's nice to see you, Paul. Right, let's get that done. Now, I've still not done the saddle cloth for him because I'm still not 100% sure what colour it is. I'm just going back over here. Just grab that. We're going to paint that yellow anyway, so I'm not too concerned. Just got the border there to do. Oh, and he's got his thing that hangs down there, and I've just noticed another bit of blue that I've missed on another figure. This is absolutely shocking. I can only apologise. So there we go. Back around here. Am I on camera here? Just. I've positioned my camera really badly. I need to I'm sort of leaning back and then hunching forward because I don't want to put too much weight on this table because it'll collapse if I do. So I can't really rest my arms on it very well. So I've got this one here. And believe me, this table collapsing would be an absolute disaster because it's what you can't see just out of camera shot is all the rest of the crap that I've got on this table. I ordered enough Württembergers for a whole brigade for LaSalle. Oh, is that the LaSalle version 2, Mark? I've not played it yet. I've played a couple of games of LaSalle 1, and I really enjoyed it, actually. I just sort of, I just fell out of playing it, really. It wasn't a conscious thing. It just sort of drifted away, really. But yeah, is this the second one? I've heard it's quite different to the first one. Not better or worse, just very different. What's your thoughts on it so far, if it is the second one? There we are. It was just underneath his little strap thing that I'd not done. Let's get the brown. Where are we? We're getting there. These guys are coming along, I think. I've got a dark brown out now. So we're back to the moustaches. Any idea how long I run? I was going to run for 2 hours, so I was going to run till 1 o'clock. But I've kind of gone into the groove at the moment, so I might run it till 1:30. So there we go. That's his moustache. I'm doing some brown as well. I just tend to find, especially with front rank, I've said this before, is a frustration of mine. For the vast majority of their ranges, they only do one sculpt. So just by having the different moustaches, Just breaks up the unit a little bit. I'm not going to do every other one brown, because I'm going to do some blonde ones as well. The blonde can tend to be quite difficult, though, because you can't really see them against the flesh. But we'll see how it goes. I might just do 1 or 2 blonde. This brown looks quite nice, actually. I'll do the one drawing his sword. Yeah, he's got black. So I've got 2 guys drawing their swords. I don't want them both for the same coloured moustache. So he can have a brown one. The other one's got a black one. You've only read them so far, Mark. Not had a game. No, that's fair enough. Tightly scripted 2 out. Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, to be honest, if we're enjoying it, then why not? I'm not in. Sometimes I'm quite restricted for time, but it's not too bad today. I could probably get another half an hour in. Right. So what do we need to do next? I'm just looking at these guys. They've got like the wolf's teeth on their saddle, so that's the like the triangles that are on the edges of their saddles. I'm wondering what colour they are. Unfortunately, when you Google Carabineers, you get a lot of pictures of them in the breastplates and the helmets because they look awesome, but less so out of them. There is an Officers and Soldiers of the French book on the Carabineers, which I don't have. I probably should do. I thought, oh well, there's no point in getting it. There's only 2 regiments of them, but I am now paying for my tightness. I should have got them, shouldn't I? I'm just scrolling down. Let's have a look. This is great radio. I'm sure of it. Right, well, I can't find anything instantly. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab. I'm going to point my thing there. Well, that's cool, Mark. Yeah, let's get some more Wars of the Roses going on. You believe in red wolf's teeth? Okay. I mean, it could be. When they were armored, it was the light blue, the same as their saddle cloths. But I'm happy to go with red. Let's have a look. Carabineers. Let's try Carabineers 1809. Oh, and there's one here. He's looking quite funky. Oh, he's a trumpeter. So the trumpeter's got red ones. He's also got a white sheepskin as well. But I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. The Standard Bearer's got red ones as well. So red sounds good to me. So thank you very much, Theodore. There we go. Right, now I've got a red here. The red is in as parlour a state as the Korak white was. To be fair, let's get some on the palette. So we've got a lot of Wars of Roses going on at the moment. Actually, let's see. ZKS, he's doing Wars of Roses as well. Some of you may not be surprised to hear that this afternoon I'm going to buy some red and some white paint. Apparently, I need to buy some super glue as well. That's the main thing. So let's get this going on then. Were the Polish Lancers used more for the Peninsula War or Waterloo? Right, so more. Well, neither really, actually. The Dutch Lancers were used at Waterloo more than the Polish Lancers. And in the Peninsula, they obviously were there. They were at the Battle of Samo Sierra, where they charged up the ravine to destroy the Spanish army that was stopping the French advance. It was one of their greatest moments. But there's also the Vistula Legion Lancers as well. So don't get those 2 mixed up. The Vistula Legion weren't part of the Guard. They were just two regiments of Lancers. And they were the guys who inflicted the casualties at Albura, when the French arguably got their only peninsular victory against the British. Certainly on the battlefield, they got quite a few strategic victories by marching about. But yeah, that was the Vistula that did there. Blame Martin from Seventh Son for the Wars of Roses. Yeah, no, he does. He does some really good stuff. I've had people asking to do a collab with him, and you know what? I'm absolutely not against it. I've said this on a live stream before. I'm not against it. I've just not got round to contacting him, to be honest, or vice versa. I should do, really. It'd be quite cool to get some collab action going on. I'd have to learn how to use Zoom then, though, wouldn't I? Which might be as you've seen from the quality of my videos, technical skill is not something I have an abundance of. So we shall have to see. What's the best online source for Prussian unit organisation in the 100 Days campaign? Asks Hobby Wargaming. You mean apart from my excellent 5-part series on the Prussian army? I assume that you mean in spite of that. So no, to be honest, that wouldn't be a great source. Wikipedia is very good, actually. The Prussians are quite interesting. They've only got 4 divisions. Well, they call them divisions, but they're really corps. They've only got 4 of them, so they're fairly easy to. They're fairly well. Actually, no, they do call them corps, don't they? Anyway, Wikipedia is a pretty good resource for the 100 Days orders of battle. If you just type in 100 Days Prussian Order of Battle, or OOB, and you should get it up. I think Napoleon.org has them as well. I caught Wars of Roses fever as well, but have only got 2 units so far. Enjoying painting my Napoleonic Italians far too much. Yeah, I've got a load of 15mm French, which I started painting when I was a kid. I was like 12. Started them, and I've sort of collected them over the years. They're Essex miniatures. I started collecting them over the years and never really done much with them. But I'm thinking I might, if and when I get around to them, I might do those guys as Italians, actually. Just have something a bit different. I've got French in 28mm, so I'm not really sure I need them in 50mm as well. But it'll give me a good excuse to use the same figures. It's the same uniform, but just do them something a bit different. I can do them as Italians. Now this, I think, is going to be one of those things where I'm going to see loads of bits I've missed here. This is why I really don't like white undercoats, especially as I'm trying to get the brush in between the wolf's teeth here. They're quite well, quite firmly modelled on. So what we're going to do is, I think I'm going to finish up today with painting these wolf's teeth, and I'm going to go back over them with a red contrast. And the idea there is just to fill in the white bits that I've missed, because it's a lot more fluid than, well, certainly a lot more fluid than this red I've got. Then it'll hopefully stop any of those white dots sticking out and really annoying me. But it's just, I think it's just goes to show, you know, today I started off with these guys. They don't really look like I've done that much more to them than they started off. But I've highlighted all the red. I've done all the saddle cloths, and I'll have done the wolf's teeth by then. I still haven't done the plumes. I'll need to go back and highlight those. And I've done the edges of the saddle, so they're most of the way there. All it needs doing now is the carbines need painting, which is going to be fairly simple. I'm just going to bang a contrast, a wood contrast paint on them. See, stuff like here, I had painted this monkey's arse red, but it was so dark, it's not really contrasting against the black. So I'll just go back in, neaten up those lines. I've done the white cords on the bearskin as well. I think that's going to help them. That's going to help them stand out. Maybe we can call it the War of the Violets. No one knows what we're talking about. Yeah. Well, Wars of the Roses, I've heard, again, I don't know, General Dan might know, that it wasn't called the Wars of the Roses at the time. That's like a much later name for it. But the whole idea of the white and the red rose came later with the Tudors. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I have heard that. There's a good painting where they're like walking in the garden and Richard III's like holding out the white rose to Henry Tudor, which is quite a cool painting. It's a pre-Raphaelite one. Not sure who painted it. No, I don't know. I think it's a Waterhouse. It's very similar to a Waterhouse. Anyway, so Epic History TV ask what Napoleon's greatest flaw as a general was. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. That is an interesting question. I have 100 Days Order of Battle, but not sure what soldiers made regimental battalions. They have light and grenadier companies. Oh, well, in that case, you do definitely need to listen to my series. A regiment was made up largely of 3 battalions. You'd have 2 musketeers, so they'd be your normal dudes, and a fusilier battalion, and they would be light infantry. Check out part 4, which is where it's basically up to the 100 days. So it's from 1812 to the 100 days. I think that's the one where I go into the organisation. If it's not that one, then it'll be part 3. Part 5 is pretty much... Oh, no, part 4 is the Battle of Ligny, isn't it? So, yeah, no, it'll probably be part 3 then. Check out part 3 of the Prussian Army series. That's where I go through the reforms on there. So, as going back to Epic History TVs, what was Napoleon's greatest flaw as a general? I'm not really sure, to be honest. He certainly had a problem with his ego. That was a big problem. I said in the video about Jena that he didn't give Davo the full respect that he deserved, and that's probably not actually true. He did make him the Prince of Auerstadt, so that was me talking complete rubbish in that one. But he certainly, his staff work, I think, was done for him by the most important of the marshals, Berthier, and him not being in 100 days. He allegedly fell out of a window whilst watching some troops march past. Now, I'm not entirely unconvinced that he was assassinated by either the British or royalists or anti-Bonapartists. I guess you don't have to be a royalist not to like Napoleon. I think he was probably assassinated. And the people who assassinated him clearly knew how important he was to Napoleon's success. I mean, they didn't bother assassinating Ney or Soult or anyone like that, if that's the case. But I would say, yeah, certainly his ego, his need to be the guy would be a big problem. I watched a documentary recently, and it made me think about what was Napoleon's aim. That would be another problem that he had. What, like, fighting all these wars, invading Russia, and all that stuff. Like, what was he actually trying to achieve? Now, you could say, well, you know, he was trying to impose a continental system, but was it really that important to Britain? I mean, all right, yeah, so you can't trade with Europe, but they could trade with the Americas, they could trade with India, they could trade with, you know, the entire South America, they could trade with the entire rest of the world, as well as have the smugglers come in anyway. So I don't know. I think for me, Napoleon's main issue was his lack of ability to let others take over. Now, that said, when he did leave others to do stuff, like the Peninsula War, for instance, they were a disaster. So maybe it wasn't him that demanded to take over. Maybe that was the situation that was forced upon him. He was also very keen to just abandon his troops as well. I mentioned earlier on Russia and Egypt. He did that. Yeah, which kind of goes against the little corporal view that he had. He was very happy to foxtrot Oscar when the going got tough, which I personally don't admire that in an individual. John Crome also thinks he was murdered. Yeah, I mean, it's too convenient for it not to be, I think. Occam's razor, which is the simplest answer, is usually the correct one, is that he was assassinated. You know, you don't need to be Alex Jones tinfoil hat wearing to think that, I don't think. Sorry, Hobby. Yeah, to go back to it, yes, the 3 battalions per regiment usually. I think it's 24 figures we use. But yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. You're best off checking out the video because I had it all written down in front of me when I was doing that. I'm fairly sure it's two Fusiliers, sorry, 2 Musketeers and 1 Fusilier battalion per regiment, though. Although the 3rd rank of Musketeers could skirmish as well, just not particularly well. So how are we doing? I've got this base and then 2 more bases of Wolf's Teeth to do. As I say, I'm not too concerned if there's little bits of white showing through at this point, because I am going to go over it with a light red contrast paint, and hopefully that will fill those gaps in. But that said, if I can get to them now, then I will. This is something that would have been much easier without the rider on the horse, obviously. So that's something to perhaps bear in mind. Is it's worth doing the entire horse, including the saddle, furniture, and everything, before you glue the rider on. But I was just super keen to get the riders on. Go back in there. Is the Danube campaign still your favourite? Yes, it is, Mr. Bird. It still is my favourite. Although, the more I read about other campaigns, the more interesting I'm finding them as well, to be honest. I'm finding the retreat to Paris in 1813 and 14, the Central European battles. I'm finding those very interesting. I'm also finding the 1808 campaign quite interesting as well, or 1807, sorry, which is the stuff after Jena Austerlitz, where the Russians are still fighting on. So you've got the battles of Eylau, Friedland, those kind of things going on. Again, I think it really shows Napoleon at his height. For me, though, Wagram and Aspern-Essling, or I should say the other way around, really, shouldn't I? Aspern-Essling and Wagram, that's where the high tide mark, the high water mark of Napoleon's skill and the French army. As I've said before, I think the age of chivalry died with the death of LaSalle. I'm not saying that he was responsible for keeping the age of chivalry alive, although I think he was to an extent. But I think the wars after that became a lot. War is serious. Don't get me wrong, but they became a lot more serious after that. They became existential. To lose was to be absolutely annihilated. Whereas the Prussians, they had a big old Barney with the French in 1806, and nothing happened to Berlin. It wasn't burned or anything, although Napoleon did later say he regretted not burning it. But just nothing happened really. After that, the invasion of Russia and the burning of Moscow, the burning of Smolensk, place like that, it got a lot more serious, I think. So for that reason, the Danube campaign, it's still got that fun aspect of it. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm aware that war isn't fun and all that stuff, but there's more romanticism, shall we say, about the Danube campaign than there is later, I think. Yes, my understanding regarding the Wars of Roses, same thing for the War of Violets, 2 shades of purple, light and dark. Yeah. Sorry to repeat query, is painting metals the same as plastics? That's absolutely fine. That's a good question. The process of painting, yes, but it is a little bit different. You'll feel when you're using your brush, you'll feel a different resistance from the metal to plastics. I find acrylic paint doesn't go on as well to metals as it does plastics. That said, I do generally prefer metal figures to plastics if I can find them, because they tend to have a lot more incised detail, which I think takes washes and acrylics and contrast paints particularly well. So yeah, technically yes, it's the same techniques and the same approaches for metal and plastic. Just be aware you might need to use a little less wash. Otherwise, it sinks in a little bit deeper. But largely, yeah. No, largely it's the same. I think Napoleon Aspect thing just didn't follow the basic rule of when you're playing French, always make sure you're on the attack. Absolutely. See, he needed me there advising him, didn't he? Clearly. So, well, that's the other interesting thing as well, is it puts the French on the defensive, which is quite nice, and the Austrians on the offensive. Certainly, Aspect Essling does. Wagram is more traditional, but yeah, I mean, there's a video coming up this Wednesday. That's coming out where I talk about making changes to the rules for making rules for fighting the 1805 campaign. Now, me and General Dan had a battle a couple of weeks ago, which is coming up next weekend on the channel. That's next weekend's video. Is another battle report, and this is a battle that's set in 1805. So the video on the Wednesday night is going to be explaining the rules that we use, the scenario that I thought up, and why. General Dan will be relieved to hear that it wasn't just off the top of my head. There were reasons why I did it, and I'll go through. I don't want to give away what happened in the game though. But yeah, so that's coming up this week, and because I'll give a little spoiler. The French were on the defensive in this battle, and the Austro-Russian allies, which I kept calling the Third Alliance, I think I kept calling the Army of the Third Coalition, were on the attack. I go into that in detail. That'll be this Wednesday's video on why that was the case. But it definitely meant that there was a different dynamic when the French were defending. Absolutely. Thank you for your great live show, inspiring, respect the amount of knowledge you and the others seem to have. Thank you. Well, no, thank you for watching, buddy. That's and again, no, I'm always super impressed by the knowledge that the guys here show. It certainly puts me to shame. I have to spend weeks researching it and all that stuff, whereas a lot of you guys just seem to know it off the top of your head. So no, I'm always very impressed by the depth of knowledge that people have who watch my channel. So, and yeah, I thank you for it. The origin of the term Wars of the Rose is still being argued to this day. There is no hard and fast date. The time was called the Cousins' War. Oh, right, okay. See you later, Bonnie. That was interesting, that one, Deep Red. I did not know that. As I say, General Dan, he is the medieval man. He would know all this stuff. So what I'm going to end up with today is I'm going to do two more things. I'm going to quickly bang a dark blue on the officer's saddlecloth. I wasn't sure what colour that was. For the infantry, it's red. So I thought, I wonder if it's red on these guys. But I've just done a quick Google search, and it turns out that it's dark blue as well. So let's bang that in there. This guy has some serious thighs on him. He is a thick boy. This guy, blimey. That's a front rank casting for you there, I think. This guy is never going to be short of ways to open walnuts. That is faux show. So there we go. That's that done. I'm just going to fill these in. Realistically, I should probably wash these brown first, just to make sure that the brown doesn't go onto the blue. But because the blue is so dark, it shouldn't matter too much. I'm going to bang that on there. That white moustache, he looks a little bit like a West Highland Terrier, which is obviously a good thing, because West Highland Terriers are cool. Just don't read why you put your brush on the figures. Yeah. See you later, John. Thanks for joining me, buddy. So I'm going to get this done, and I'm going to quickly bang the red contrast paint onto the... oh, I've gone over onto the gold there, never mind. Then I'm going to quickly bang the red contrast onto the wolf's teeth, just to make sure that we fill all those gaps in. And then we'll draw stumps for today. So that's that one there. And then quickly these. See, this is just blocking these in that's quite nice and simple. Get these done. Well, the new setup. Apologies for the light. It's not been great. It seems to be better on the stream than it looks in real life, actually. So that's something. But if I can find a way of getting better signal up in the attic, then I will resume up there, because the light up there is so much better. The walls are white, and we've got a big window which is south facing, so it gets the sun all day, which can make it very hot in there though. That is a problem for the paints. The paints can dry out super quickly in there. But there we go. So that's that one done. I'll have a quick victory sip of coffee. There we go. What I should really have done, instead of having a victory sip of coffee, is find my red contrast paint, shouldn't I? Let me just go and grab that. There we are. Now there's two reds. There's two reds that they do for contrast. The darker one, which is the one I used originally, is this one. This is Flesh Tearers Red. And that's nice. That's a really nice red. Don't get me wrong. But it's too dark for the French, really. What I should have used is Blood Angels Red. So there we go. That's that one there. What I'm going to do with this, so you can see... I'm not sure if you can see it because of the light. You might be able to. Just under here, there's still white parts that I've missed. So I'm going to get rid of this fine brush here. And this is where your old sloppy brushes can come in, because you want it to be a little bit messy anyway. I'm going to try not to get it on the non-red bits if I can. But because the horses are black, it's not necessarily the end of the world if there's a tiny bit of overlap. I don't want to put it on too much though. So let's get this poked in there. There we are. I've got it on the sheepskin there. That's all right. Let's get that off. That's fine. See here, I didn't even do the wolf's teeth on this one. See, this is the thing as well. If you plan on going back over stuff, then you're probably going to have to go back over it at some point anyway, because you'll miss bits. So if you plan on it, have it factored in, then it's not so much of a problem. There we are. And then tuck under here, that one's fine. And this one here, I'm not going to do it if I don't have to. I'm going to bit onto the sheepskin there as well. I'll just wash the brush out and then suck that back up. So I say you want a messy brush. Maybe this one's a little bit too messy though. But that's them done for now. In fact, let me get some... no, in fact, no, he's all right there. I did have some... what did I have? I had some movement trays made for me for the cavalry. I wasn't going to bung them on there, but I won't for now. We'll just leave them where they are. So that's that. There we are. Thanks for sharing your painting time here on YouTube. Got 12 helmets painted. Oh, that's good. And some extra bits of armor. Stay out of trouble till next. Yeah, right. Yeah, I should say as well. I'm planning on doing these every fortnight. So I haven't quite finalised the details yet. It's probably going to be the first and third Saturdays of the month, something like that. So yeah, no, so that would work. So the next one I'll do on the 2nd of October. I thought to myself, well, you know, I enjoy painting on Saturday morning. It's a nice, relaxing way to start the weekend. And you know what? If I'm doing it anyway, why not share the experience with you guys? It'll also force me to actually get some stuff done as well. So thank you very much for joining me. So as I say, the next one is going to be, I had a few complaints before, particularly people from people overseas, saying that I hadn't given them enough notice about the live streams, which is fair enough. I mean, it's a really nice complaint to have, someone saying, oh, you know, I wanted to join you and I couldn't because I didn't know about it till the last minute. Now, I'm going to be honest, a lot of the time I actually do only plan it at the last minute, so that's why it's normally a last minute thing. But it's a regularly scheduled thing every 2 weeks. At the moment, I'm going to do it live for everyone, but it may end up going for members only at some point. Just as a thank you to the members more than anything else. So let me see here. Maybe a little bit more blasé with this one on the saddle side of it, because that's black. But I really don't want to get any red on the horse. Oh, hang on. I'm not doing this side at all. There we go. That's worked out quite nicely. I still haven't done his saddle. As far as I'm aware, it is actually a dark blue, but I'm going to leave it to one side for now. He can pop. Where does he live? He lives at the back there. Yes, he does. Yeah. Then I've just got the officer and the other one to do. So quickly checking out standard bearer. He needs a bit of a bit in there. And new to Napoleon, so quick question: did the Russians fight with the Prussians? Kitchen Wargamers, yes, they did. You also, sir, need to check out my third video on the Prussian army. That is about the Battle of, I'm going to say, Gross-Eckau. I think that's the battle where the Prussians fought the Russians. They were, as a fun fact for you, I mentioned it in the video, but you can have this one as a freebie. They were the only troops to capture a Russian colour in the entire 1812 campaign. So there you go. That was an achievement from the Prussians. So I'm just looking here. This guy who's leaning over, I've missed the red on his monkey's arse. So let's quickly get that done. I say I missed the red. I haven't missed the red. I've just got the red. I've missed the white on his monkey's arse. But on the other guy who's leaning over, this guy, I have messed up the white. I've gone over onto the red. So that's that red sorted there. And then the white will finish with this cross. It's right into the middle of the camera as well, because of course it is. And there we go. So that's it. Thank you very much for joining me, guys. Remember to check out the channel tomorrow. I've got a video out on Waterloo and why it's a good game for Napoleonic Wargaming. I'm going to have a companion piece about why it's a bad game for Napoleonic gaming. But this week's, we're going to start with the positives, and it's going to be why it's a good one. The painting, next live painting video is going to be 2 weeks' time. So that is the 2nd of October. So thank you very, very much for joining me. And I will see you guys then. And, well, I hope to see you guys before then. But if I don't, I hope to see you on the 2nd. Happy wargaming, guys. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.